Hey everyone, we're looking at the past today and what it is, um, because it always seems like how how we remember it to be, and the things it says about us now, or the what it implies about our future, always without fail looks absolutely true. Um, so and which means that any conversation about the reality of the past can be quite confronting, because really our story is the story of the past. Our identity is it, and our um, everything we know, all the limits that we believe we have seem to be a result of the past. And and so it's quite confronting, and also maybe a little bit um, frightening if we start looking at the truth that there literally is no past. Then, in the way it appears, then what happens to these limits on me now? What happens to all the rationale for why I'm like this? It doesn't exist anymore. So it's like a sort of frightening thing. It looks like we might now be forced into a life that we're not ready for, into doing stuff that up until now we've believed ourselves incapable of, or of living in a way that is more expanded or more bigger. And it's frightening. Um, but we are going to do that. Of course we are. So so let's start off with the truth that the past is only ever a creation of now. And this looks so wrong and annoying, and looks like such denial. But it's true. Even the biggest events, even the most life-changing events, even the things that seem just so intrinsic and fundamental to our suffering now, or to our way of being now, even those will change in every aspect according to this understanding of who we are and what's real. Because and it's, yeah, these events, these things that happened, as as identity starts to loosen up, and as this unconditional presence, this space that we really are, starts to become more and more obvious, all memories, including the big stuff, all memories start to shift accordingly. They can't not. They can't not. Because they exist as a function of understanding now. That's the only way memories and stories of the past can exist. So any shift in understanding of truth and reality will change those memories. Can't not. And so that takes us to the realization that there literally is no past. It doesn't exist anywhere. And this isn't denial. It's not denial at all. It's saying that as long as that looks real, that's the reality that will be experienced, and will be the identity and the evidence for this identity now, and the reasons for different conflicts or different incapacities that will look real. So we can't argue against that because it will be defended, but we can start to hang out in an exploration of what's true, and that will do the job. That will start to shift the story, make it less tangible, less fixed. And it's interesting then when we start talking about the body, and obviously on this course that's such an important part of the conversation, because it would be fair to say that events and trauma and happenings are held somehow in the body. And what we're doing with this conversation is we're honoring that, because that's has an apparent realness to it. There's sensations that are rising, and there's contractions and tensions. Maybe there's aches or symptoms, they're apparently what's going on. So what we're doing was simultaneously seeing that the story of the past has zero truth. And yet over the life of the body there will have been changes in it. And what we're doing now is in this moment of nowness, in this right now, we are honoring everything that arises. So tensions in the body, deep emotions, intense feelings, these will be held and honored and given space, given presence. And that's what realigns the body and its past with the knowing of what's true. And what we can see is things. It's interesting, all this connection, isn't it, of it all, because things will arise now, and because of this conversation, or because of what videos we've seen or books we've read, there's an openness to what's arising, to see how it could send the mind back into that film, back into that past, back into that identity. Oh, that just doesn't seem so grabbing anymore. It's just like, it seems so much exhaustion and searching for nothing, literally for nothing. And there's a falling away, and then there's just the utter presence to whatever's coming up, whatever's arising. And so that whatever's arising will have had many pre-runners in the past, but we're ready for this one. In the past we weren't ready. The pre-events to this arising, so similar things. So say for example, right now someone, like say if we took Deborah's example from the webinar, someone for an hour telling us we're messing up, we're getting stuff wrong, we're not being the mother we should be, that coming in now, as part of this conversation, there's a readiness to notice that immediate defense and that jerk away and that, how, tightening up of everything, and that rush into the film of how can I feel better? How can I get rid of this intolerable feeling? But to be equipped now to, or to have that fallen away, better way to say it, and all there is presence to this, is essentially connecting back to every other time that's happened in the past when there hasn't been the readiness, and all there's been is this intense suffering and self-blame and victim and isolation and separation. But now there's readiness, and it can be seen, and it undoes all the other times, because all those other times can no longer look true anymore. Before they stacked up as evidence of who knows what, how much I'm getting this wrong, or how much the world is against me, or how I'm a failure, whatever, stacked up. But now in this one moment of total readiness to see, and it might be more extreme or it might be small, but even so, it has its correspondence in the past, many probably, all undone. And the physical side of it too is, so in that moment of tension and everything wanting to recoil and push away, the presence to all of those feelings. The feelings can come and be and excuse me, and arise, and so there's a relaxing of that tension in the body. There's an ease comes in, a space comes in that wasn't there before. And this is the healing. This is the healing of this conversation, that the attempt to avoid suffering, which is so innocent and so natural, but it just continues the story, it continues the resistance, it continues the illusion. But when that just doesn't seem like doesn't have any attraction anymore, then there's presence, to full presence in the body, and the undoing. It's an undoing, and then there's lightness, and there's space, and there's increased capacity for that to happen again. It's seen now as it's not the end of life. It's not the end of this space. In fact, it's the revelation of it. So there's less and less and less incentive to push it all away and go into the film and hang out in these past stories, and every reason in the world to every revelation of the presence that we are. Oh, it's so interesting, isn't it? So interesting. And so we can see how a therapy that is focused on unraveling the story, or it's focused on fixing within that story of the past. God, like what rabbit warrens that just keep creating themselves as true, with no understanding that they're being created out of now. So we're really seeing the truthfulness of this, the honoring of this, the story will naturally fall away. There's no forcing of it, there's no denial, there's no bypass, but the story will give itself up. And amazing, beautiful that it does that. And as that happens, there's just automatically more and more presence to what is. and then the body can give up its tensions and its pain and its the layers of shock and what's had to be held onto and defended and protected. It is there's within that space of unconditional love. It's all safe to be given up, to be seen, to be held. It's massive. It's so massive. It just blows me away. And so it's so much the design. All this conversation is just a just a recognition of the design, the perfect design of life. Just a recognition of that, and then it does everything. There literally is nothing to do. It all just happens. Yeah, good. All right, everyone. Big love. Thank you.